you have an interest in horses and love learning more about horses, the horse industry, teaching, or even managing your own horse business, then you're in the right place. We would love you to join us on our mission, which is to improve the lives of horses around the world through the education of riders, handlers, and trainers. So get comfortable, listen in, and enjoy.
Today I'd like to introduce Lydia Jackson. Lydia is a Level 3 dressage coach and coach educator, riding and training horses to Grand Prix. She's also produced 5 horses to 3-star eventing and represented Australia twice as a young rider in eventing. How are you today, Lydia?
I'm well, thanks.
Great.
Well, Glenys.
Good. Lydia, we usually start off asking people about an inspirational quote that they've had or used.
I think the latest one I have is I borrowed it from Charlotte, and it's short reins win gold medal.
That's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was actually waiting for a hamburger, I think, when she said that, when she was up in Queensland, and it caused quite a lot of laughs, and correct. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. When I'm riding, I think about it a lot, and teaching too.
Yes. We had a couple of instructors, from here go over to the Charlotte clinic, and, every now and then you hear one of the instructors here saying, go, or short reins win gold medals. And you just go, yep. Well, that was a good investment to take them over for professional development. Yeah. Starting with horses, can you tell me about your start with horses? Because I think you were one of the fortunate ones that came from a horse family, weren't you?
Yes, my mum and dad both rode. Dad, after he met mum, it was a bit like, if you can't beat them, join them. Mm-hmm. And that happened with my husband too. And so, I had a little pony that I used to do everything with, and then I got a nice show pony that was very successful in the show ring. And then I was fortunate enough to be given sort of older horses. The owners had done all they could for them. And, I was given some schoolmasters like that, a show jumping horse called Santo from Nicky Brown, and a very successful Galloway called Winspear that I actually rode at the Nationals one year. And then I just went from showing to show jumping to eventing, and then eventing at the time we were the best in Australia. Eventing was, the Australians were the best at eventing, and so I went up to New South Wales and based myself up there, trying to get to the Olympics, basically.
What would you say? There's a lot of people that don't have a start with horses, don't come from a horsey family. What would you say to them about your advantages? Because it's not, you haven't had a lot of advantages. You've had to move away from your family, away from your support network to another state, because where you were didn't have, even though you came from a horse background, you didn't have everything going for you, did you?
No, not at all. Tasmania is a fair place in a lot of respects, but, we are small and we just don't have the venues or the competition for, especially eventing. The dressage is difficult too in some respects because there's no competition. I think I'm the only Grand Prix horse in the state at the moment, and, it's sort of hard keeping the level up when you're not competing and don't have another person ahead of you.
All right. Now, you had a family business then. Did you actually make a career with horses? Was it just expected? Did you do another career first? What happened there?
So throughout school, it was very much that I had to get good grades to go to university. And then my father bought a hotel, a pub, and that was very successful business. And I always worked as a waitress from the age of 14, 15. So I always had to work in the hospitality industry. And so when Dad bought the hotel, it was sort of if the horses didn't work out, I would go back and run the hotel.
Okay.
So then the need wasn't to go to university as such, which is why I went down the coaching path. I did my level 1 at 19, and then, then I was always pushing myself further with my coaching education.
So you had a backup plan just in case the horse industry or horse career didn't work out.
Yes.
Okay.
And I find that a lot of my my young girls, I try and steer them away from a riding career if they don't have a backup, because I find they get really depressed and despondent about it if they're riding, if they don't have that backup.
Okay, so what would you recommend? That they do something full-time as well as the horses, do something part-time as well as the horses?
I think it's important to get an education. and to see where it goes. So I think by the time you're in your early 20s, you're going to know if you're going to be able to make it within the horse industry, I would think. So that's what I feel. And you should be studying or at least be doing something else to have a backup plan.
Okay, and financially as well, to pay for your horses.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's the case in Australia. It may not be the case in overseas, in different places where you can go and work with horses from leaving school. What character traits do you think people need to have a career with horses? What are you looking for?
I think they need to be extremely passionate about the horse is an athlete and you have to treat your horses as such, and just be very fastidious about things, like every stone has to be unturned to be successful. I guess what you're talking about, are you talking about being successful as a riding, like as a competition rider, or just someone within the horse industry, whether to be like a groom or...
Well, I think there's a lot of jobs in the horse industry. It's not just...
Absolutely.
There's a lot, from working in a saddlery to going on to being a vet, to being an instructor, to being a professional rider. But the character traits to want to work in the horse industry, sometimes I think they're a little bit different to working in other industries. And I just wanted to get your take on that. And I agree to do with the education as well, because if you start off and say, well, I just want to work with horses and I'm quite happy to just go around to the local stables and clean the stables, that's not really a career. It's just a job. So getting the education, I think, is important, but the education in the field that you want to go down, and there's a lot of complementary jobs that you can have with horses. Yeah.
I think it's basically the character traits is determination and hard work.
Yep.
Basically, and that you have a passion and you want to be outdoors. That's another thing. Like, I know I can't sit in the office. If I have to sit in the office and do bookwork for longer than a couple of hours, I'm demented.
Yeah. Especially when it's a lovely day outside and there's other people outside and you can see stuff going on. I know I have the same problem. Okay. All right. Now, excelling in the career, not just working in the career, but going on and excelling, and you come in contact with a lot of top riders, top coaches. What makes them different? So what are the keys that they need?
I think they're a little bit self-centered and need to be very goal-focused. And the being self-centered isn't being that you don't care and look after others. It's a very one-set mind if that's what you want to do. And also you have to have an empathy and a passion for the horses. Like, I think of Chris Burton. He came to where I was in the stable yard in Branxton as a young boy, and his work ethic was exceptional and his empathy with the horses was exceptional at a very young age, and he was very receptive to listening to advice, and he was a sponge. He just soaked up everything. And I look at him now and it's no surprise where he is. And he'd have, his first horse was very good on the flat, very good dressage horse, and he trained hard and he worked hard and gained a lot of advice from a lot of different people.
Oh, hang on a sec. Let me interrupt to let people know about the horse industry qualifications at onlinehorsecollege.com. If you have a look at the flexible options, there's online theory and the practical components can be completed by video or with a qualified expert in your area. That website again is onlinehorsecollege.com. Okay, thanks. All right. Other people who've influenced you on your journey, who would that be?
Well, my mum and dad, Nikki Brown, Nicole Brown, who's a show jump instructor here, and then it would be Roger Fitzhardinge, George Sanna, and Prue and Craig Barrett, and Heath Ryan, really. And since then, it's still Roger. I have lessons and coached from Roger Fitzhardinge, Charlotte Pederson, and I train with Brianna Burgess in Germany, and when she comes here to Australia.
Yep. What about horses that have been influential, horses that have changed your career? You talked about a couple of horses early, but the horses you've got now, or horses that you think have been pivotal in your career?
Well, in the beginning, it was definitely, there's so many, Glenna. So all the ones I mentioned at the beginning, and then my best successful horse was really Dutch Treat. We bred her. She was by Dutchman out of a thoroughbred mare, and I think she was ahead of her time, and she was exceptional dressage horse, very good, bold cross-country horse, and was very, very clean show jumping and had a beautiful shape over the fence. So definitely her. And then when my husband and I came back from overseas, we were trying to buy property in Sydney in New South Wales, and it just was too expensive. So we came back to Tasmania to set up a family and a life here. And then it just sort of was just hard to keep eventing from here. I had to go away for so many months. And then my mum was breeding dressage horses. So my first good dressage horse was Precision.
Yep.
And then Mum had been lucky enough to purchase Snowy River Blackwood, and he took me to Grand Prix. And then I was able to train another 2 horses to Grand Prix. And I guess I lost a horse at the Dressage Festival. He died from a reaction to an antibiotic, and his name was Flash Az, and he was Treaty's grandfather, so Dutch Treat's grandson.
Yep.
And he'd just come second in the advanced to Mary Hannah, and he was a very, very special horse. It was a big loss losing him.
Yes, I can hear it in your voice even now. Yeah.
Yes, that was 3-4 years ago now.
Okay. Now, people that you coach, think about a problem that is a common problem, not specifically any one rider, but a common problem that you see that you'd like to correct. We're trying to give people who are listening a bit more knowledge. So what's something that you see as a common problem that you'd be able to fix as well?
Well, I'm not sure how well I fix it, but I think the common problem is people aren't brave. Then, you hear Charlotte saying, be brave, go.
Yep.
They're not brave. They don't go.
What do you think brings that on?
Yeah.
Do you think we're too risk averse these days?
A little bit, and I find Australia in particular is a lot like that, very much so. I think the feeling of actually having your horse really in front of your leg and really going is a little bit disconcerting to some people, especially with these big, the better breeding warm bloods that we're now getting. It's quite a powerful and an almost a little bit out of control feeling for a moment or two until you sort of can relax and trust that that's how it's supposed to be. Like, I don't mean that you're flying around the arena. It's that, when the horse has to go, and I think it's a little bit like how a plane takes off. It's that feeling.
Yes.
Yeah. So I do struggle a lot with, I've got some riders that are brave, and they're so exciting and enjoyable to teach. And the ones that aren't brave, the ones that know they're not brave, they're easy to help. The ones that don't think they're not brave are the ones that are very difficult.
And as far as fixing that problem?
Sports psychology, I often send some away to, we've got a very good sports psychologist here in Hobart that I send some to. I've, done a lot of research, and I feel I'm quite good at that sort of help. And I always, suggest a lot of them go to Tarn and Mitten too for those extra help, and really just keep putting them in positions where they gain more confidence.
Okay. And do you think more riding, just that little bit more energy, and now a little bit more and a little bit more?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I say. Push yourself to where you feel a little bit like, wow, this is a bit out there.
Yep.
And then just ride that.
So
make
just
yourself ride that.
Pushing the boundaries. Yep.
And then push it a little bit more and push it a little bit more each day.
Yeah.
But, even myself, I think I'm going forward, and then I look at the video and go, oh, my God, Lydia, what are you doing? Get on with it.
Yeah.
And having someone on the ground every day with you is really important, I think, too. That's why the European riders, the riders that can have help every day on the ground, are going to be more advanced than someone that doesn't get regular help.
All right. Now, as a judge, is there something that you see as a judge, and we're talking about things that can be fixed on the day, that you could say something to someone and say, well, the next test you ride, do this. Is there something there you can give us a tip on?
One is to breathe, because when you're nervous and don't breathe, your brain doesn't work properly, and then you either forget your test or not ride a movement correctly. I would just say, at the last minute, once you're at the competition, there's not much you can change. I would just say breathe, don't override, relax, and know your test inside out.
Yes. Okay. All right. Now, running your family business, do you still have much to do with that now, that with the Agistment and training?
Yes, so my husband and I purchased the business off my mum and dad.
Yep.
And we live here at the farm, and so we run the business. Well, I do, yeah.
Yep. How many horses do you have in work? Or how many horses do you have on the property?
There's about 35 horses on the property, and I have 4 horses in work.
Okay. And do you have staff that help you with that?
Yes, very much. Need my good staff.
Okay. Can you just talk a little bit about them, the jobs that they do? And we're thinking about people who are looking to work in the horse industry, just to have a bit of an understanding of the type of work and the type of jobs that they do.
So I have Keisha, that she's a uni student and doing ag science, and she does my feed out. So to me, the feeding out the horses morning and night is very important. It's probably the most important job here. And so she does that, and she also, keeps the hay in order and the feed room in order, and, when we need new things and so forth. And then I have Steph, who basically just brings my horses in and grooms for me. So bringing them in, putting them on the equipage, grooming them, tacking them up, cooling them down, hosing them and icing them, and then putting them away.
Yep.
So I'm very fastidious about those horses, and I, with 3 young children and the business, 4 horses is really the maximum that I can do well. After that, it just becomes a manufacturing line, and you can't pay attention to the little things like, I should have changed that bit on that horse today, or, bummer, I forgot to put that cream on that horse's leg, or you're too busy in your brain, you can't give each horse the time that they need.
Yes. All right. Now, how often do you travel to the mainland to compete, to coach, to judge?
Unfortunately, I'm no longer, up-to-date judge, because it was too difficult in Tasmania, because basically I had to judge all my pupils. So
yes.
At the time when I started doing my judging, I could fast track to D level, which was, I found easy, and I had some, Carolyn Tina was amazing, and a few other people like that were very helpful to make that happen. And I had the desire to become an international judge, but then I had to make a choice between furthering my coaching and doing my level 3, because that was very expensive and time consuming. So I decided to do that rather than the judging. So, going to the mainland, look, once a year now. It was after my horse died over there. It took me a while to get my momentum back to go over. I went to Borneo last year to just do the competition there. And this year I really had a choice of going to Europe or going to the Nationals, and I didn't feel that my horses at the time were going to be super competitive in their respective levels. So I decided to go to Germany, but in reflection they're going so well they probably
Okay. When you do go to the mainland, how long does it take? Tell me a bit about the trip with the horses. Because for a while there you were doing it more often, weren't you? You were going over more often. Yeah.
Quite frequently.
Yep.
Yeah. That was before the children, and now with 3 children it does take a bit more management and it costs more money. So yeah, and I feel back to that. I started to sort of go off track a little bit, but if I know that I'm getting 67% into Prix St George, if I'm getting 67, 68% here, because we always get mainland judges in, I would, generally you would get that percentage on the mainland.
Yes.
So I don't feel that I need to go over there.
Okay, so it's more that
the eventing.
The judges are coming to you.
Yes, exactly.
Yep. Okay.
And we try and get, really good A-level and, international judges.
Yep.
And, they're always going and, they're judging every weekend. So
yes.
You would expect it would be comparable. And normally it is, like Mandy Parsons, she's a power rider that I coach. She's just come second at the Nationals yesterday behind Sharon Jarvis, which that's her first mainland competition. And she was getting 71% here.
Yeah.
You would expect that she would go and do that.
Yep. Okay. All right then. Now, have you got a book that you can recommend for our listeners?
I just don't.
Okay.
I recently read Free Rein, Mary Hannah's.
Yep.
I enjoyed that, but I think just being on the internet and being able to access to those training lessons and so forth from international instructors, I find that as just as invaluable.
All right then. Tell me about your future. What do you plan to do? You've talked a little bit about it. You've got a couple of horses that you'd like to will you tell us what your plans are?
I need to sell a couple of horses.
Yep.
Because I would like to go to Germany and train over there for a period of time. So, yeah, I'd like to go over and spend 6 months in Germany and 6 months here.
Okay.
And that's my goal. If it takes me to, I've got a young horse here that Brianna and I both think that could be successful in the World Young Horse Championships. If it's so forth that we get there, that's great. But if we don't, it doesn't matter. I just want to train beautiful horses.
Okay. Oh, well, that's a pretty good goal. Okay. Now, can you sum up your philosophy into a lesson today?
Basically, to try and be brave.
Okay.
And focus on your position and how you interact with the horse. And I think that you've got to treat the horse as an athlete and recognise that some days he's going to be a little muscle sore, and that each day you are training and building on what you've done the day before. Does that make sense?
Yep. No, it certainly does. Now, Lydia, how can people contact you?
On my mobile phone, which is 0419 417 085, or by our website, which is kingstonagistment.com.au.
Okay, and we'll leave your contact details on the show notes at horsechats.com/Lydia Jackson as well. All right, thanks very much for talking to us today. It's been great talking to you. Very interesting about how you run your horses, run your business, away a little bit from the mainland and the main competition, and also talking about your staff and the people who work for you and what they do. That was good. Thanks very much.
No problem. Thanks, Glenys.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Oh, wait, before you go, if you're an equestrian coach or a riding instructor, or even if you aspire to be one, have a look now at the free video series for horse riding instructors. It's on horsechats.com.
Remember that our comments and instructions are general in nature and do not take into consideration your individual horses or your individual ability and circumstances. If you enjoyed this podcast, then please leave your comment below.